What's up, guys, and welcome into the first episode of the World's Pink Ward. I know I'm a couple days behind here. We're just getting things caught up. Got a lot going on in the world, a lot going on in Worlds as well. We are halfway through our Swiss stages to play-ins at Worlds, starting to work out how the teams have stacked up, mostly according to plan, but with a few surprises. Our first surprise was that the defending champions, T1, found themselves in a best-of-5 elimination game against Invictus Gaming, as the play-in to be the 16th and final team to enter into the Swiss rounds. The two 4 seeds from Korea and China battled it out on the Rift, with T1 hoping to win an unheard-of third consecutive championship, and IG looking to add their second trophy to the hardware case as they were crowned 2018 World Champions. Started out, T1 survived a tight battle in the first game of the series, utilizing a Baron power play to take down Invictus in a 34-minute match and take the first game of Worlds 2025. Game 2 was another close match throughout the first 20-28 minutes or so, with Invictus holding a slight gold advantage for most of it, with fights and neutral objectives being relatively evenly traded till about that 33-minute mark when IG was able to pick up another Dragon and Baron, push into T1's base, and then even the series up at 1-1. Game 3 was a much more convincing win by Team 1, leaving no doubt of the result, and from that point on, they never looked back in the series to eventually take it 3-1 and send Invictus packing. Enter Swiss stages. Day 1, in a series of 8 best-of-1 matches, we started with Team Secret Whales out of the LCP against VKS from the League of the Americas, heavily favoring TSW, giving what their performance has been over the season. Starting from the draft phase, it did the same thing, heavily favoring that side, giving them the win. CFO, in the second game of the day, would add the second victory of the day to LCP and their match against EU's lowest seed, Fnatic. KT was getting bled out slowly by Movie Stars Koi of the LEC as well, before a fight would erupt around Otacon that swung the momentum the other way to give LCK their second win of Worlds, joining T1 in the winners column. And the biggest surprise from day 1, top seed from China, BLG, taking their best team composition. They had not lost with the core of this composition against a team that's on their farewell tour out of the Americas right now in 100 Thieves. But you'd think with BLG being who they are, with the record that they have, they should be able to take care of business. But Dokla and FBI put the team on their back to give the Americas an unlikely win to move on to the 1-0 pool. What should be America's best team on the other side, FlyQuest, had the unfortunate draw of T1 at Worlds, and that one played out as expected, with T1 inevitably coming out on top. Another heavyweight matchup between China and Korea's number 2 seeds, Anyone's Legend and Hanwha Life, respectively, did not disappoint either. HLE, rocking their new roster this year, has high expectations and high hopes for their performance, but will put in the home rift advantage for Anyone's Legend, as they would take the game in the end. Top Esports looked exactly like what everyone thought they would look like in previous Worlds and dominated the game from start to finish against G2. Their win at this point bodes well for them, but we know that Top has a history, and we have fingers crossed that they don't choke, as they have that reputation of doing so. And then the last game of the day, one of the world's favorites, Gen G, had a good draw against PSG, where they would take control pretty early on in that match and would eventually roll on to a 27-minute victory. The second bout of matches we had to get everything caught up started with an LTA Finals rematch between VKS and FlyQuest, which would then go the same way that Finals did, FlyQuest walking away victorious in that one. Second game, KT and TSW had good makings to be a decent matchup, but inevitably KT Rollsters would scale better in the long run, put themselves at 2-0 in the Swiss stages, one win away from qualifying into quarterfinals. Next up, top 2 teams from LEC, G2 and MKOI, where MKOI had early control. They would give away some of their shutdown gold, gift wrapping the snowball to G2 from that point, so G2 wouldn't go on to win that game. Top Esports had their best possible follow-up draw in playing against 100 Thieves and handily put themselves at 2-0 to go into the third day of competition. CFO and T1 was a roller coaster that really could have gone to T1 at any point, but CFO, in a surprising fashion, looking really good as well at Worlds, by the way, ended up holding on to their momentum to beat out T1. Gen G and Anyone's Legend faced off in another LCK LPL title fight, with Anyone's Legend taking their second win of the Swiss stages to bump up to be one away from quarterfinals and taking that spot away from Korea's top seed. BLG and Fnatic was a game Fnatic just passively rolled over and let BLG take over however they wished. BLG finally had a get-right game to be able to put themselves in a better headspace, where Fnatic is just kind of scrapping at this point, trying to stay relevant in competition. Last but not least, HLE and PSG matched the vibe against the previous game, where Hanwha Life really controlled the pace for most of that match and just did not let PSG get any footing whatsoever. Following our first 2 days of Swiss stages, we decided who would punch their tickets as a 3-0 team and who would find their way into quarterfinals. To start the day off, the 3 seeds of the LCK and the LPL battled it out, as most would have expected a 2-0 series to favor Korea's top esports. But KT found better fights, engages, objective control, and took advantage of Top's notoriously aforementioned circumstantial choking to swing the 2-0 series the other way in favor of China to be the first time to punch their ticket into the quarterfinals. Second series of a best-of-3 had the undefeated teams of CFO and Anyone's Legend matched up. CFO had control for most of their first game, some risky points that Anyone's Legend almost would find their way back in to take over. It never really did come to fruition, as CFO would end up taking a 1-0 lead in that 38-minute game of Game 1. Second game, Anyone's Legend did have better macro play that ended up letting them win out in that one to even it back up. CFO did have more than a few chances to sneak that one away, getting it back in and taking that game, but could not get anything to actually come together, forcing a decisive Game 3, where Anyone's Legend would maintain better balance of the map to not give away too much on the weak side, and then when the time came for a full fight, AL was able to swing the gold and series to their favor to move on to the quarterfinals. As I mentioned, CFO has looked better, has looked impressive in comparison to what a lot of people probably expected, and could be a sleeper through the rest of Worlds. With 2 teams qualified and only 6 more spots available, tomorrow we're going to check out the next best-of-1 series to see who unfortunately is packing their bags in the early exit. No one's eliminated yet. We've already got 2 teams in there. Let me know down below who you think is going to win Worlds outright going through the Swiss stages, and I'm curious to see if anybody's got any of those sleeper picks that I had talked about earlier. But for now, we're going to recall, reset, and don't forget, buy more awards. I'll see you next time.